exploded at the Ludier Club in the Old Park district of Belfast last night. The soldier was shot dead in Belfast this afternoon. He was on patrol in the Ballymurphy estate when 2 shots were fired. Police in the United States say they haven't found a motive yet for this morning's killing of an Israeli official, but the Israelis are assuming Arab terrorists are responsible. All 82 people have been rescued from a British ship ablaze in the Atlantic. A family who've sailed round the world have got back to Plymouth. Services at the Congregational Church in Belfast were cancelled.
Yeah, I thought you said you was going back to the Friday. No, it's Saturday, you know. I had to take it first.
The smallest unit in the British Army is a section, which in peacetime consists of 7 or 8 men.
We know that. We know that. Got his new glasses. Yeah. Yeah, that's the point. Someone put them. Yeah, one got me glasses. Ready.
In preparing for active service in Northern Ireland, a section will live and train together and learn to act as a highly independent team.
There are no training areas like Belfast in England. It's something quite unique. And what we have is certain villages in England or certain small streets in 1 or 2 of the training areas which do provide some sort of urban environment which creates the various problems required for this sort of operation that the Army is taking part in now.
Okay, Corporal, well done. I think there were some good points out of that. It was well done, it was fast, the movement was good in places. On 2 occasions, there was much too much talking from within the patrol as well as from just yourself. Sergeant Neil on the individual fieldcraft and movement.
Yeah, I think basic rifleman's fieldcraft is quite good. The changing over of weapons when they're coming into an actual fire position is not so good. Wait until they get into the actual fire position before they're changing from, say, right-handed to left-handed.
Okay, Sonny, that's fine. Let's get on to now more individual fieldcraft points from you, Bob.
Yes, I think one point which is particularly bad is this concept of ballooning which we've been trying to introduce. When you get down in the street doorway, you move about like a balloon in the wind. Your section in particular has been bad on this. They've just been settling down on the street corner or in a doorway and then observing their arcs. This is quite good, and holding their weapons. But they're not moving about at all, and this means they're providing a good static target for the one-shot sniper.
It's just not on their minds. They're more interested now in the movement, especially these new moves that are being brought in just before we go, rather than the ballooning. I think the ballooning will come in itself when they realise their own vulnerability. They'll want to move. They'll feel horrible in one spot.
Keep moving about. Going now onto the medical points.
Yes, I was somewhat concerned with the way you treated the casualty. He tended to be hauled across the road rather like a lump of meat. You must remember that he could be a seriously injured man.
Okay, it was very good, really. Total points 43, command and control 25, movement individual fieldcraft 12, casualty evacuation 6. That's about 3/4 of the way up the scale of people who've been through so far, and it was good effort.
First, the good news. We're about 3/4 of the way up with the people that's been through yet. Okay? Command and control, which is really my sort of pigeon, that was okay. The thing they mentioned, what they heard up there, there's too much talking. Well, I don't know, you know, if it warrants you saying something to me, well, fair enough, but we'll try and keep it down. And, the last point, which is on the casualty, I think we learnt a lesson there in that.
Perhaps the main difference here that throughout history, and particularly today, a rifleman is encouraged to think for himself, to react for himself, which of course is so vital and critical, particularly in a place like Belfast today, where so much of the importance comes right down to the individual rifleman on the street.
If you got a leg wound, right, you can easily drag him in, because much damage won't happen. But if it was a wound in his stomach, right, then it's different, as you know.
When Jim was shot last year, and Steve, they didn't even know. Steve can tell you about when he was shot. What did you feel, you know, when you were shot, just to give him an idea of what it's like?
Well, when I actually was shot, I didn't really, you know, at all realise it. I just felt a little pain in my arm, which I thought I got when me and Jim both leaped out of the Land Rover. But it was a couple of minutes afterwards that the pain started to come up when I the actual excitement of being shot at, like, actually cooled down, and I was getting my senses back together again, you know.
Yeah.
And then the pain started to come to me. I didn't actually realise I was shot until I actually felt my elbow and saw the blood coming out.
Yeah. Jim, I didn't really feel much like, you know, oh, what happened, like, I just said, oh. Then when he got shot, he said, oh, and I had an idea like we're being shot. No, just oh,
yeah. Our section commander last year, he was shot in the gut.
Yeah.
And I didn't realise at the time, but when we ran up, he just turned a funny colour, you know, and dragged him off around the corner.
Yeah.
And stripped his vest off, and that, you know, his flat vest and his combats. There was no blood at all, you know. Just a small hole. I expected a big hole at the back, you know, but it was just a small hole at the back, just a little trickle of blood, that's all, you know.
No, I says to Ollie, I says, look at me back. Then he says, all right, he says, you better lay down. That's when I really knew, like, he says, yeah, you better lay down. I thought, oh, but I'll still fighting when I lay down.
You don't so much excitement in that, plus shock, I suppose, what it really is, that you don't realise anything much, you're just sort of doing everything naturally, what you've been trained in.
Perhaps one of the most difficult things to simulate in all his training is people with whom he's moving, amongst whom he's having to walk, patrol, move, fight in Belfast. And of course you cannot provide people of that sort and of that nature in their training. One can simulate them to a degree by other people in his company or his platoon will dress up, but you can't simulate what it's really like.
Arrest you on the Section 11 of the Special Powers Act. I suspect you of being about to commit an act prejudicial to the peace. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Where are you from? I come from the Farrow movie. Where do you live? Have you arrested him? Yes. Okay, do you understand why you've been arrested?
Yep.
The section, of course, has to operate as a unit, and the section commander is the father, he's the mother, he does everything for that section.
Okay. In on me. Okay, Joe. Right. Yeah, that is what we'll be doing a million times. Every patrol will be stopping hundreds of people.
The section commander has to think for himself more here than in any other sort of small campaign that the Army's fought, certainly since the last war.
Jim, a couple of times.
The whole time the emphasis is on him appreciating a situation on the street and reacting to that situation.
Anybody not understand that? You couldn't really arrest Jack. Jack hadn't done nothing. He might look as evil as anything in that sort of kit, but you can't arrest him. He's been searched, he's got nothing on him, and he's a normal person. So you've got to let Jack go. There's no what you could call army law apart from the Special Powers Act. Basically, what they're trying to do to you is they're trying to turn you into a policeman. You're going to be soldiering the streets, carrying a rifle, being basically a soldier. And every time you stop someone, then you've got to turn into a civilian copper and start working on the civilian copper type way, thinking of the law, thinking what you can arrest them for.
Reason why we're going to Ireland. Now, having said that, what is the immediate task of the Army? And the immediate task of the Army in Ireland is to weaken the extremists on both sides so that normal political activity can take place. What the politicians and the population there do with this freedom and this ability to carry on normal activity is their affair. It's nothing to do with us. Our job is to produce the conditions in which this normal political activity can go on. Now, when you take your foot off that ferry, somebody, quite a lot of people, will be out to kill you in order to produce the removal of the British Army by an unacceptable casualty rate. Therefore, what this means to you is that there is a group of men actually out to kill you.
Yeah, I know the chances of dying are there, but you don't ever think he'd kill you. You think that you'd get shot. The fact that you're going to get shot doesn't worry you, because you don't think it's going to kill you.
Okay, come through, Jim.
We have to spend a lot of time training for shooting, for patrolling, for observing. But the main thing really is working as a section, getting used to working as a section in the street, in this sort of environment, and reacting to what the section commander should say, so that the soldier knows instinctively what he means, what the section commander requires him to do. And yet at the same time, so much of the training must be spent teaching the rifleman to react on his own, to get on with the task that he should be doing without being prompted by his section commander.
The reaction here was good. I think we came in right. The two blokes that went in the house went in fast. The whole theme of this is speed. I mean, the moving up, getting up, right, and going in there and getting him would be the last thing. I like you to think of him as a sort of hard-nut IRA man that said, sod it, I'm going to wait for him this time, they won't dare come up. And I don't think he's going to shoot at us if we're running towards him. I think we've enough firepower to sort of change his mind in that sense. And you've seen him, you know where he is. If you've seen him, all right, get in there, get him. You found him, you've got the glory.
It wasn't as much when I first had to go out there, you know. I thought it'd be easy, but I soon changed my mind when I got there. And now I know what it's like, whereas going back to the same area, it's worrying me a bit. I know what it's like there. Like Shaco knows what it's like as well. I suppose he'll be worrying.
I've been worrying because just before we came back as club, you know, that woman told you, remember, that it was after me? Yeah. That was in the last couple of weeks I knew about it. Now they're like 4 months to build up on me, haven't they? And zap me. That's the only reason why I'm worried. Otherwise, you know, I'll just go back and get a rhythm.
We knew a woman in the Protestant area who worked with a lot of Catholics. And she asked them, we used to say to her, find out different things from her life. And she asked these women, these Catholic women, in the form of jeers just to get at them. Well, you know, they're certainly sorting you out down a Clonard, and she used to say, don't you worry. And one of the things she said was, don't you worry, we've got a wanted list, and I'll tell you who's on it. That little black man in that section led by that blonde boy. And don't worry, he's second on the list. It was funny at the time, when you went out on patrol, it gave you a sort of weirdo feeling, didn't it? To know that someone somewhere had actually pointed at you and said, you're going to die. And the odds of 10 million to 1 every soldier in Ireland, and you're just one of them. You're not anymore. Now you're a person with a finger, and somebody's got a contract. Someone's been told that if they get a chance to shoot you rather than anyone else. I think.
It's not the sense of being shot. You know, if I get shot and I die, I say I've died straight away, but I just don't want to be turned into a cabbage. That's one thing. That's the thing that really worries me. That's the fear of my life, is to be turned into a cabbage.
It's just of being maimed, not so much being killed. You know, I wouldn't be any use outside because I've no trade, or you'd be a burden on your family, really.
So the worries when you get over there, really, for the first couple of days, you know, once you get into the swing of it again. It's just like normal day working over here. And
I guess it'd be easier for us than what it would be, say, for Pete or Bill there, because they haven't actually done it before. Like, we can easily get adjusted into our old swing again. Yeah. I suppose when we get back there, it'll seem like we haven't been away from the place. Yeah. And we'll automatically, you know, go to how we were before, you know.
My personal views are, if I have to go out there, I've got to go out there. I've tried getting out of the army because, you know, once we started going out there last year, didn't I, Club? And they wouldn't leave me get out because I'd done over 6 months in junior service, so I'm stuck in, which I've got to go over there now. That's the way things go.
Keep quiet. 3 ranks. As you're on now. Keep quiet, keep quiet. 3 ranks. And if you want cyborgs done.
Yes, yeah, yes.
People like Oates. The people who haven't got black badges, get them this afternoon, right?
When you get on the train, we're going to try and keep it down to a big pack and belt order. In your big pack, sleeping bag, slippers, washing and shaving kit. None of this walking down the road with a carrier bag or your wireless. If you want your wirelesses and stuff like that to go, they go in a container tomorrow. Any questions? You're all right. So when you fall in here, that's all you'll have.
Right, thanks a lot.
Put your battalion on, put 3 RGJ.
3 RGJ.
On the other side, put B company in nice letters and your platoon.
Yeah, right. What's that? 1 for the rifle, 1 for the case, and...
Maybe we're taking just belt order.
About order.
sooner we go, the better it is, isn't it?
What less we take, the better it is, wasn't it? How hard is that?
Oh, I said the sooner we go, the better it is, you know? Billy? Well, I joined the army. I knew what to expect when I joined, so I can't exactly blame the army for it, you know? It was my fault joining in the first place. The first time I went over there wasn't bad, you know? I didn't know what to expect the first time, but now I know what to expect. I had a bit of experience with my first tour. What happened? What happened on my first tour? Oh, Jimmy got shot and Steve got shot and I nearly got my head blew off and that was, you know, now I learned my lesson then. I know how to act with the people now. Trust no one. That's my motto for this tour.
The reason why they blacken the cap badges is when you go out of a night, everything's dark, your face is camouflaged with a camo cream, and then you see a bright shining badge at the top. There's the aiming mark. You know, look at the cap badge a little bit lower on your face. So that's why we blacken them.
I don't think about it until I've actually got to do the job, that's it. When reality did first come over not so long ago, you know, I was shitting myself for a while. I think, yeah, get a bit closer now, only a couple of days now.
The reason why we mask this up is because when you walk around the streets with it in the shoulder, really it's a perfect aiming mark for anyone from behind if they just go to the butt plate and move along a bit and knee in the centre of the back. And field dressing, well, some people have the field dressing on the rifle and some don't. I prefer to have it on the rifle because wherever I go, the rifle goes. Or if I'm unconscious and someone runs up to me, automatically they can see the field dressing there on the rifle.
I had both areas. Bombay Street. That's Bombay Street, what they burned down. 69. It's rebuilt now from that corner there to there. Their new houses. The flash people that are there. These here. This is where I first got shot at there. Over there.
I'm a bit more afraid of going out there this time than last time. I don't know why. Perhaps it's being in a section now that the training puts the fear of Christ up you.
Right, hold it there. You look. Back. Okay, let me see. You don't know what's happening, yeah? No, these have got to be full. Carol, don't forget to write to me. I'll put a word in it out for me. And me? Your dancing partner?
Oh, big head.
Come here.
Not shape,
It is bigger.
I joined when I was just 21. I was a bit late coming to the army, you know. I've been, what, just over 2 years now.
19. I joined the army 2 years ago.
August 1970. I've done junior service as well.
March 72. 20, I was 20 in June.
18. Well, I was 17 when I joined up, just under 17 and a half.
19.
18 in June I was, and I joined the army when I was 15. A, because I wanted I didn't want a drag job, you know, like in a factory or something like that. And B, because I wanted to get away from it. I wanted to start stuff for myself, you know, on my own, like without meeting new people and things like that.
Well, I joined in 69, you know, and I did part of the training, 8 weeks, and I got a bit fed up with it. And just couldn't go on, so I bought myself out after so many weeks and back into civvy street. Well, after about 3 or 4 years, you know, I got fed up with the same work, you know, 7 till 4, you know.
I was doing an apprenticeship, and I just got bored because college was just like going back to school for me. So I left. I had to work for a couple of weeks, and I just decided to join the army.
I was looking for one of the magazines that we have at home, and it said join the professionals. So silly enough I did.
Just to prove a point to my father, really. I just wanted to prove to him that I was better than what I thought I was, because we never used to get on all that well.
Worked it good. Wanted to change, see people, meet people, go places. Germany and Belfast. Get plenty of fun there.
I was an apprentice maintenance engineer, and I tried to get in the army as an apprentice mechanic, but I wasn't clever enough, so I ended up in the infantry.
I think a lot of people, you know, in civvy street, they're not really bothered about what happens in Belfast. They're not really worried, you know, until it affects their lives.
They're not interested in the same sense as you hear about the famines in Biafra, and you said, "God, terrible," and you tuck back into your steak. Well, we feel the same way because we're on the receiving end of Northern Ireland.
I think troops in Ulster have forgotten army, really, because you read a paper, you see a big splash on the front about film stars, something like that. You turn over the second page and you see soldiers shot in Belfast yesterday, and that's it. About 2 or 3 lines.
Cat finally got out, did it? Say no more.
It's just a journey, you know, amazing. They just charge you out. I'll be all right in the morning. You'll be able to get a few hours sleep.
Too long. It'd be better flying us. I'd rather fly and do extra hours on streets and this sort of stuff.
It's the scrubbing of the decks in the morning and getting up so early, I don't know.
4:30. Breakfast at 5. Start clearing the place up then at 6. Then we get off board at 7. Stand on dock while their vehicles come and get us and take us back to wherever we're going.
first pressure is that they don't know what's happening. They've got a sense of excitement and a sense of dread, not of death, but of dread in general. They've got a lot of worry. They've been travelling all day and all night. The pressure they're under must be tremendous, really must. Especially the new blokes. Very worried. It's a time when you're at your most vulnerable, I think, because you're just here. You've come from the comparative safety of England. Now you're in a hostile country, as it were. You've got to feel that everyone's against you, which in fact, in one way or another, they are. You're packed together in these wagons in a long convoy, not really knowing where you are, looking out the back of the 3-tonner. You don't really know where you are. You feel so very vulnerable. Perhaps you're not, because you are in fact going through safe areas. But you've got this feeling that if anything happened, there's nothing you could really do. You'd be so disorganised. That's a very frightening feeling. Belfast 13, an old disused mill which is let out to the army with a printing works downstairs, still working, and us upstairs, and we shared a building with us. Just above the lower falls, and just away from Hijack Corner, the Falls, Grosvenor, Springfield Junction, where it all happens. And just right of there as you look at the map. Here we are.
Stop trying to get off. You will! Woo! Hey! That rubber, but you ain't. So you're all here, right? Shake it in town. Shake it in town. If you stay together, then we'll all nip straight upstairs. And you're on guard first. Can I get up now? Yeah, upstairs. Okay, jump. We'll stay as a group, will you? Then we'll go straight upstairs as a group. It's falling over there, boys. We'll go straight up.
You know where a station is here? We can take it to
Stand still, West, yeah. Clear. 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 That's the lot. Right, first thing up there. That's it. You always running, right? Yeah. Okay, the first thing we do is go down to Calisance when we can, get the bedding, your flak jacket, 20 rounds of ammo, and then back up here. That chocolate is cut out down there. 1, 2, 3. Hey, I've got a small flak jacket here. See what that says on your... Okay. The first thing you're on is guard. I don't know how Santley is going to work it. Yeah, I got you know. Choice. Alright, control then. Hey. You got to swap these flak jackets within. I'll show you how to do the collars on your flak jackets. Stop them rubbing at your neck. We'll be a bit happier. You got rid of them? Well, I'll show you. We'll do that later, but let's get sorted out first. Oh, not like this one. Yeah. Breakfast is at 8. Eh? Well, get downstairs. As soon as you've done your kit light, get downstairs, you get the bed scrub, and you can do your bed when you come back, eh? If you don't know where to go, follow the others.
I know where to go. Since the emergency period began, 6,000 soldiers have been stationed in Belfast at any one time, and each battalion is responsible for a particular sector of the city.
The area in which my company operates is about 600 yards wide and about 700 yards long.
Cooper Street, okay, to Argyle along the peace line.
It is mixed, Protestant in the north, and then the peace line, Catholic in the south. And within that area, the average soldier, the average rifleman, never really gets out of it for the 4-month period.
No, go straight down Mayo Street, all right? Yeah, you know, it's by the lights. I think that's Ainsworth. Yeah, and where we want to go is Lanark Street, okay? Yeah, Lanark. Going down Lanark Street now, where a whole community has been burnt out. We're now pulling the whole street down. You just see your right and left, they're all derelicts. It's where, on the other side, behind this road here, Springboard Road, as you see, the Catholics are on one side and the Protestant community are on the other.
I think the point here is that compared with a theatre of war such as is the Far East, this is very much an English or British urban environment, which is something that they know well, and yet it is totally strange at the same time from the urban environment they know.
Inside another theatre of war, you definitely know who your enemy are. You've got a definite target. But here, it could be anybody. It could be the little boy, it could be a woman, it could be anybody at all. When if you was in the jungle, you would know that you're one side, somebody else is the other side. But here, you know, it could be anything, anybody, anywhere, anytime.
You can't really afford much more than a week to let anybody settle in, because once you're out here and you've taken over, it's your responsibility to maintain the area that the battalion's left in the same state as what the battalion's left it. And therefore you can't sort of relax, really. You must get straight into the job and be expected to do the same job the battalion, after being here 4 months before you, we're doing at that time.
Yeah.
Just stay here, mate. I don't know, I wish I knew as well, mate. I'll be next, mate. As long as I'm not hitting you, I'm all right. 222 Bravo. Got anything on a Tony Kennedy of 8 Kane Street, age 27.
The first patrol, of course, was the sort of try one. Everyone's a little bit nervous looking about, realising so many places you can get shot from, it's so difficult. Then when they got in the swing of it, they got used to walking amongst normal people, just like in England, with a gun and a bullet in it. then I think they began to realise it was all right.
The first guy I gave you, Tony Kennedy, he's only over here for holidays. OK, mate, off you go.
Yeah. Tell me why the British Army need to screen them so often. If they get to know them once and have them screened, they shouldn't need to take them in so often. That is their excuse. Our excuse is they're terrorising the children into subjection. And that's all it is. They're just making rivals out of them. Wait for 10 minutes and you'll see the British Army weapons coming in for a lot more children. Children!
Throw me under now, reckon. Them stairs. You can carry me up in the next month. Fun? No.
Hello, black boy. Nice one. Oh, shit.
Oh, we were in that pig. He was going down the road and we went outside TAC HQ. So, we had to, so one of us, there's two of us in the back, mind you, one of us had to jump out and stop all the traffic. So, I'm not mentioning no names, like, but a certain person said, fuck me, fuck, why me, you know. So, like a thickie, I went out and stuffed it. I felt the loneliest man in the world when I stood in the middle of that road in a big articulated lorry, and I looked up, you know, into the cab, like, and I said, stuff there, like, and I backed off slowly into the side, you know.
I felt all right, like, you know, because as it's his, you know, one of his first tour, my first tour, as well as Bill, you know, I just felt the same as him, all right.
You never said that in the streets, it was all F this and F that, you know, and I'm not going there and not doing this. Mind you, I was the same, like.
He's saying good morning, and if they didn't answer them, the names he was calling them, behind their back.
Good morning, soldier, you know, like, they don't talk to you, don't answer you.
No, it was all right. First time out, you know.
The thing is, they're going to hit you, you're all right, when you're not suspecting it, you know. You might switch off, you won't be all right for the first couple, that's when you've been quiet for a few weeks, you'll switch off. That's when they'll let you, mate, I tell you. It happened last year.
Well, you know, I haven't been here before, so it's quiet now. It might be worse, but the way everyone talks about it, you know, you'd expect to get mortared and machine gunned and everything when you get off the boat, but really you just get off the boat quietly, go to the mill. Yeah.
Oh, she's had her ear cut, I bet.
Who?
Here we go.
Your first big problem, the biggest, is boredom. You're not allowed out in the mill except on patrol, so of course, when you do go out, you're under tension. When you come in, you're stuck together again, and you've got a boredom point again. There's no way over it. If you're not doing anything, you write home, you lay in your bed and sleep, or you drink coffee downstairs in the chuggies. That's it. Nothing else you can do, is there? And that's day-to-day living. Out in tension and in for boredom. There's no halfway point. This is what gets the blokes most, I think.
You know the score then? Husband's name? Well, how old is he?
The rifleman on the street in Belfast spends a lot of time talking to people. He has to get to know the local population very well, particularly in the area in which he's operating. The corporal spends a great deal of his time getting to know the faces, getting to know the names, who lives where, who drives which car, where he works, and so on, because this, of course, is all important to knowing as much as you can about the area. He must do this because he has to get to know all the faces, he has to know who the people in his area are, who belong to extremist organizations, who are the gunmen, who are the bombers, who are the innocent ones.
Great, okay, just go firm here. It's vacant. What number's this then? This must be 94. That's 96, 94, yeah. Do you know who lives here, mate?
Section commander.
When a section is not on patrol on the streets, it must still observe certain states of readiness. The most immediate state requires a rifleman to be ready at 2 minutes' notice. A section remains on this 2-minute state without a break for 24 hours.
Down. Diving up at Beirut.
Seen this, the protest flared. Troops fired rubber bullets and used water cannons to scatter 2,000 demonstrators who stoned security forces near the centre of Belfast yesterday. 6 lines. Okay, 6 lines.
See the replay. And a tremendous dive there by Beirut, just falling short. But it seems no question at all now, looking at
What's this? From Brandon.
Along the Falls Road and down Dunmore, please. I seen a woman on there with a gun. Round the corner, Bill. Just keep moving about amongst your doorways.
You'll always find around the Kleiner, the doors and windows are open. So you've got to expect something, which I do. Either a bullet or a big brick coming over the roof, or a bomb. So you've got to be alert.
Where do you come from?
How long have you lived here? The third year. How long have you got? Third year.
Now pick them up.
Pretty pig.
Ah, there's a little black one, this is a little black bastard. This. I just have to react normal, can't I? Actually show them that they're offending me in any way, or else they'll just do it more.
He's risking his life out there on the street. Oh, it's only so many, and the chance of him getting killed are very remote. But even to be killed on the remotest chance, you still die. Doesn't matter that it's remote, you're dead. Are the others coming up, Cass?
Yeah, they're cool.
They're not? Great. Oh, I'm all fucked up downstairs. Go on, boys. Who down to? Who just wants up? Great. Okay, settle down in one area, we'll have a quick chat about it. Look personal feelings a bit. There's a few beers under here we can have. Okay. So settle down and we'll have a quick run through it. Alright, I'll firstly say about my patrol. The thing that come out there is we've got to move around the corner together. Hey, look. Okay, where's my beer? Oh, there's one beer under there. Is it beer, Steve? Right, yeah, you and Steve stay. Now, you'll all get a go at this, staying behind. But great patrol, thanks very much, John. If we can go like that in future.
Squeaker and all that, bug.
Hey? Yeah, bring the squeaker, please. Okay then, Ed, out you go. Out we go again. Yeah. Don't forget you got another one at 0200. Do you want us to lay on his beds? Hey? Do you want us to lay on? Yeah, don't get in, because I might have to take you out at the 2 o'clock one night, if I've got to go. Look, lad. Go on, quick, go, come on.
Oh, just like dress there.
See you later.
Jim, get the magazine for us.
Okay. That woman I got to kill her.
What, that one that come in the alley? The one was with them kids? Look, the only thing you got to remember, like, he just wouldn't want to fucking talk to him, because those...
I'm not doing my talking to him.
No, but you starting to mouth or you lose your temper with her a bit. You just want to stare at him and smile, or if that even laugh at him, that gets them worse than anything. You can never talk down an Irish bird. They've got more mouth than...
I'd have put her down, you mate, talk to them.
Oh, that's it, see.
Steve? Come mate. Just... Try to get on. Mo. Come on, 27. Shake. Come on, 27. Feet. Come on, straight up, boys. Feet. Come on, straight out of bed. Straight up, have a bath.
The British soldier's always told he works 24 hours a day, and out here they do. A boy might start work, say 10 o'clock one morning, not finish till 3 o'clock the day after the next. You know, it goes just on and on and on, depending on the situation at the time or whatever's going on.
What do you take? They're tired already, and they've come over here, and you've got to start dragging them out on patrol at all the weirdest hours in the world. And that's a lot to get used to, you know? You're making them even more tired than they are. And they'll get bitchy, and they'll argue. You've just got to go through it, and this is what you try to explain to them. The pressure they're under must be tremendous, really must.
Do you know, every day is a battle to find out what to do with my gator assets.
And in this place is like living in hell, innit? Come up for 8 and we have to go up on an hour's patrol. Come back, lie down for a couple of minutes. We're waking up for search. These things are just not right, you know?
That was occupied over there. I'll go out and play.
There's nothing to do, you can't
go around, speak to the people and that, and just get fed up with it.
There's nothing to look at, and you know, it just blows the mind.
You're in here all the time. You can't go out for a drink. I mean, you can enjoy something, have a joke and a laugh about, but you can't go outside. Being locked up, well, not locked up, but, you know, just hanging about in this place, because, you know, I mean, it gets you on the nerves after about a couple of months, you know.
All we're going to do. Any other situation, you could get away from it. You could do an operation and then go away for 4 or 5 days, come back, do it, and go away again. But here, you do what you could do, and for 4 months, you basically become a monk. I mean, you live in the same accommodation, the same building, for 4 months.
Well, I signed on in the army, and it's just my job to go, I suppose. Do what I'm told, and that's it. I'd sooner come out there than go in Nick for 4 months, I think.
What, even at the risk that you take?
Well, I don't think the risk is that great at the moment.
Why not?
Well, there's risks in, like, the mining. There's been quite a few disasters in that.
You don't see a difference, do you, Mark, between...
I suppose the only difference is that someone's out to kill you, rather than just an accident.
It's terrible, because nearly every shop is either, you know, half blown up or, you know, all closed down and all the windows bricked up. Same with the houses in our area. Last year, most of the houses was occupied, as Cloggy told me, and about 3/4 of them, they were all bricked up, you know, derelicts, but it's all over the city the same. It's terrible.
There's a little kid, I don't know if you know about, that big, just learning to walk as you're sitting on the doorstep with her mother, and every time we went past she was going like that. A little kid about that big, would you believe it? Just, I looked at it and I didn't believe it the first time I seen it. You know. And then you go in the proddy area and they're all open arms and everything too, you know. But they slag you down behind your back, you know, don't trust any of them, I don't reckon. You know, they're all very false.
I mean, I'm over here doing a job, I've been sent over to do a job, but I don't care how you know, some people say, Sodom, you know, but you do feel deep sympathy for some people, you know, especially the older folk, you know. They've been here for years and they don't want any trouble. You see they played the streets where they lived years and years ago used to be nice and quiet, you know, and kids running about peacefully and that, but now it's bricks and bottles, their windows getting put in, you know, and blast bombs and that. I mean, I feel sorry for the older people, plus the younger kids as well, you know.
It's the two either side that you feel sorry for, you know. I mean, the old people are putting up with it, and the youngsters have been drilled, you know, into their heads that we're murderers and all this crap. And they're going to grow up to what their parents are, and that's how it's carried on for, what, 400 years now?
No, I don't have no sympathy for the people. I'm just out here to do a job. And, you know, doing my job, I may get killed. They won't have no sympathy for me. The most soldier is killed now. They'll just lap it up and expect the British people to call back the troops.
Hey, come on. The army's in here. We're going to jump out on it. Hey, lad.
One side doesn't want us at all. That's the next line I had. They want us to go home. They mustn't think we don't want to go home as well. They must think we want to stay there. We want to go as much as they want to get rid of us. And that's a lot. They want to get rid of us as quick as they can. Like. But as I says, if they stop all the trouble and live peacefully together, we might be able to go home and leave them, you know, let them carry on.
Are you afraid to be here, Jim?
Well, yeah, but I don't like the shite, you know. I'm terrified, like, of being here. More than what I was when I was here last year.
Why's that?
I don't know, probably because I got shot.
Before I didn't actually know the danger that I was in, you know. It was just a sort of a game, really. But, actually, after being shot, that's when you sort of like wake up and it becomes, you know, reality sort of thing. And then you find it is a dangerous sort of job you're doing out here. It's not, I mean, you hear about blokes being shot out here and everything, you know. And it's like, you know, people in England, you know, well, it never happened to me and all this sort of thing, you know. And you don't really think about it. You can't think about it, as I said before. It could drive you crazy, I guess.